Yo, yo, welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our coverage of the 2014 fantasy football season. We have made it to week 6, and we'll be breaking down the top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. I think you guys will be surprised to see who the number one guy is. Maybe not running back. I think we know DeMarco Murray has been an all-out beast this year. But the other positions are pretty interesting, and there's definitely a lot of surprises. At the same time, you do have your studs that are doing their job, staying in the top 10 at their position. I'm RJ, joining up with FPS Kyle.
What's going on, man?
And also joined up via satellite with Mike.
Hey, everyone.
Guys, let's jump into this San Diego running back situation. Don Brown really wasn't getting the job done.
Yeah. We
know Ryan Matthews is on the shelf, but out of nowhere, last week, we had the rise of Brandon Oliver, K-Mac.
It was Darren Sproles, right?
No, a lot of people are comparing him to Darren Sproles, but I feel like he's got a little bit more bulk.
I think it's just because he's rocking the same number. He's small,
that helps.
Fast. It kind of looked like him, and it's. But yeah, there's a lot of people in the San Diego camp have been raving about this guy already.
He blew up.
He blew up. He had his opportunity, and he came out and he showed what he can do. He's probably going to have about 2 more weeks until Ryan Matthews is back. So look for this guy to blow up over the next 2 weeks. I believe they have a pretty easy schedule. I think Dallas is one team that they play, and if I can't remember,
maybe an AFC West opponent, perhaps Oakland.
Oakland, I think it's something like that. I'll have to look at the schedule. But anyway, he's got a favorable matchup for the next 2 weeks. So
wait a minute. This just in, they have signed Ronnie Brown. What do you think?
I mean, I'm glad to see Ronnie Brown can still play in the NFL. He's been around for a little while, and I don't expect him to do much. Obviously, he's probably going to be able to come in and play if they need him to, but I think they like what they're seeing out of Oliver, and I mean, if you caught him in that game last week, it looked pretty impressive, man.
Now, I think that Oliver has earned basically a position going forward with the Chargers here. I think they'll use him much like they used Darren Sproles way back when, Phillip Rivers started that whole thing. So, actually, Drew Brees was back there as well. We'll have to look at that to see who really got the Darren Sproles ball rolling. But as far as that situation, I mean, what do you think? Would you pick up Brandon Oliver and hope that he can be productive even when Ryan Matthews and even Don Brown get back into the mix?
Well, yeah, and we're amongst the bye weeks, so this would be a great guy to start if you need a running back who's going to probably maybe put up RB2, RB1 type numbers for you this week. So I pick him up just because of that. Now, when Ryan Matthews comes back, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to use him. But, hey, if this guy has another 2 weeks of coming out and looking really impressive, all of a sudden Ryan Matthews is coming back off an injury. Then might not want to use Ryan Matthews as much. Start using Oliver a little more, get some split carries. Now you have Donald Brown that comes back. They kind of go to that whole running back by committee thing. We're starting to see it in a lot of other places, like in Baltimore. They want to use all 3 running backs, so you can see that happening just because they don't want to lose Ryan Matthews in case they have a chance to make it into the playoffs. They're going to want to have all those running backs.
Mike, what'd you think about Brandon Oliver? I know he's got some other running backs there to compete with going forward. Do you think he's worth an ad?
Yeah, definitely, especially if you need him for a bye week this week. He'd be a great play this week. While Ryan Matthews is out, you got to try to start him while Ryan Matthews is out, and he's going to, get both the rushing attempts and those good passing plays that he's going to be included on from here on out. So I definitely think he's worthy of an ad.
I know a lot of people. Yeah, for sure. PPR, he's definitely going to be a star. But I know a lot of people haven't really heard of him. He kind of seemed to come out of nowhere. But there was some hype in the organization around Oliver. So as far as the Chargers are concerned, they like him a lot. And that's definitely something we look for in our fantasy players. Another guy we got a spotlight here, K-Mac, Golden Tate. I mean, this guy, he's a wide receiver 1 right now, especially with Calvin Johnson looking like he might miss a game, and Calvin's not being Calvin right now. Golden Tate, who would have thought? I mean, we're both huge fans of the guy, and he's shown that he can have huge games in the past. But at this level, do you believe it?
Oh, I thought it was huge when Detroit got him in the offseason from Seattle. I'm surprised Seattle let him go. I thought he was definitely their, obviously Percy Harvin would be their number one, probably most, freak athlete.
He was banged up most of the time.
Exactly. Golden Tate was playing that number one role pretty much all season long. And, he wasn't getting the yards or kind of the respect in the league just because of the offense that Seattle ran.
He was still underutilized in Seattle, even though he was their number one wide receiver.
And it was just the offense they were running. They were run heavy. Marshawn Lynch had a lot of good carries. They didn't really have to go deep a whole lot. Last year, they let their defense kind of win a lot of games for them. So coming to this year, him going to Detroit, that's straight running gun style offense. This is a perfect fit for him. He's finally being able to show everybody how good of a receiver is because we've seen him make ridiculous catches. He runs great routes. Ever since he was in college, he was doing the same thing. So this is a guy that's going to continue to be good. Now, what I want to look a little more into, can he get it done as just a straight-up number one? Now, we obviously know that Calvin Johnson got injured and didn't play much in those games, but the defenses were preparing for Calvin Johnson. We'll see how the defense is prepared for Golden Tate being the number one if Calvin Johnson can't go, and we'll see if he can live up to it and really still have a good game as just being straight-up the number one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really liking Golden Tate. This guy's been extremely impressive. It's crazy to see how consistent and how good he's been. I mean, this is with Calvin Johnson in the lineup and with him out. Both ways he's been great. Mike, I'd have to think that Golden Tate is a wide receiver 2 going forward and possibly a wide receiver 1 this week with no Calvin or, Calvin at less than full health.
Yeah, definitely a wide receiver 1 this week. I think, from here on out, he's going to be a wide receiver 2 with Calvin in there. He's going to get a lot of targets with this offense. And, he's a great player, and he's going to, get those touchdowns. You got to have him on your team. Try to trade for him if you're in that playoff race. You're looking towards, you're 4-1 or 5-0 here. I think he's a player you need to target.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point because even though he's looking good right now and the owner of Golden Tate's probably feeling pretty good, I still feel like you can trade for him. Maybe if the guy doesn't completely believe in him, maybe if he thinks when Calvin comes back, Golden will kind of take a step down. I would still definitely try to get him if possible. A good way to get players in trades that are doing good is do a package deal, especially 2-for-1s. If you can give 2 guys for 1 and get that better guy in the deal, it'll pay off. Golden Tate would be a good guy to aim for because the person who drafted him didn't really get him too high. So you can throw out 2 decent players, maybe like a Rashad Jennings. If you're bulked up on running back, you don't want to wait for Rashad to get back. I think Rashad for Golden Tate would be a pretty fair trade. I know running back is pretty tough right now, so that's hard to say. But bottom line is I like Golden Tate a lot going forward. K-Mac, you agree with the wide receiver 2 and, of course, wide receiver 1 this week?
Yeah, I think this week, if with Calvin not going, he's definitely a wide receiver 1, and because their running back committee is beat up right now. Looks like Bush probably won't play. Bell is banged up, so they're really going to need to rely on their passing game and. Golden Tate's gonna be the man, so why not?
And he's worthy. I feel like he's making plays here.
Good enough.
Props to Golden Tate. We here at Trippy Commentaries have been a big fan of the Golden Tate for a while, so it's good to see him blow up on another level. It's gonna be nice to see what his stats look like at the end of the year, provided he stays healthy. All right, guys, it's time to break down the top 10 at the 3 key positions. We're going to do a countdown here, so we'll start at number 10, going to number 1. Let's go ahead and start off at quarterback. Kyle, you were a pretty impressive quarterback back in the day. Let's see what you think about these guys, as there will be some interesting missing players here. From quarterback, first guy I want to point out is we've been impressed with Joe Flacco, not in the top 10. Kaepernick, also not in the top 10. We all know Brady's not even close.
Yep.
So we'll have to see who actually made it at number 10. Eli Manning. I think he's legit number 10 here.
I think it's going to keep going up. I think I could see him sneaking his way up to kind of getting close to maybe 5-6 range this year as being the 5th or 6th best quarterback because we're seeing that offense take off a little bit.
I hate to say it, our number 9 guy, Matthew Stafford, I think is possibly going to drop out if Calvin Johnson doesn't get back to full strength here, or at least the Calvin we know and love. Stafford has been a product of Calvin Johnson. He's a good player, no doubt. But the top 5 status that he's had in the past, that has a lot to do with Calvin. Without Johnson there, without Megatron around, it's going to be tough for Stafford to stick in that top 10. I know a lot of you guys drafted him to be your clear-cut, easy number 1. But I know we're looking at him right now. He doesn't look too happy. That's probably because Calvin Johnson's banged up. He's got to be pissed off. What do you think, Mike? With Calvin Johnson hurt, would you look to at least get a backup with Stafford, or are you confident he could at least produce with Golden Tate?
Oh, I mean, it's always good to have a backup in your quarterback situation if something's going on. With Stafford, I probably would get a backup if there is one available, but you probably don't have to worry. Stafford's a pretty sound choice. He has a lot of good players around him. When he gets Reggie Bush back and Joyke Bell, he's going to have those backs to pass to. And also, Golden Tate, he is, I think, going to end up being a number 1 wide receiver, legit status. So I think we're going to see, Stafford's numbers stay consistent.
That's on a limb though, Mike. Number 1 wide receiver. I know he looks like it so far easily, but that would mean he'd have to be a top 10 or top 12, depending on the size of your league, for it to be a clear-cut number 1. So we'll see how Golden Tate finishes off. Let this be the Golden Tate episode, and at the end of the year, we'll look at those numbers and see how well he does. But going back to old Stafford, man, we need Calvin Johnson to come back for his sake, that's for sure. Drew Brees all the way down here at number 8, and he's on bye this week. So he's going to fall down.
One of the 3 elite, man. One of the 3 guys that would be the main only quarterbacks to go in the first round. So not good for Drew Brees. He needs to turn around, man. And I tell you what, if Jimmy Graham is hurt, man, you Drew Brees owners should be very worried, because we saw last week, without Jimmy Graham in the game, Drew Brees looked like a totally different quarterback, and
that's true.
It's kind of scary to think of what's going to happen if Jimmy Graham got hurt.
Yeah, we all love Brandon Cooks as possibly the number 1 wide receiver there, but you take out Graham and that changes it up.
And
Cooks is not ready without Graham.
And Cooks has not been able to make a big play yet. He's getting a lot of catches, but he's not doing anything after he catches the ball.
True.
And Colston,
he's looked good on some runs though. Going back to Cooks.
He's quick and explosive, but they got to find ways to get him open downfield.
One guy who's currently ranked over Drew Brees is Russell Wilson, and Wilson already had his bye, so that shows you, that Brees needs some work here to catch up. But we do expect some big games, but it is a little bit of a worry right now that Brees is ranked below some of these guys, including Jay Cutler, who we'll get to. Aaron Rodgers is 1 spot over Russell Wilson here. So Aaron Rodgers is another guy who needs to step up his game. I think we all need to relax when it comes to him, though. There's no worries. He's got all the tools, especially now that Eddie Lacy looks like he's getting it going here. Not too much to say about Russell Wilson and Rodgers. We know both of them are extremely consistent, easily top 10 guys, and it's kind of surprising that they're on the bottom half of the top 10.
I think it's because of the bye weeks.
Yeah.
That has a lot to do with
it. Good point. Peyton Manning's at number 5 right now. He just exploded, and I think that's going to start the mojo. Mike, Peyton Manning, I think he will pass Jay Cutler and Matt Ryan pretty soon. I don't think I'm going on a limb there.
Definitely not. I mean, Peyton Manning, come on. I mean, all those weapons, Julius Thomas, Demaryius Thomas. I mean, come on. This guy's definitely going to be shooting up to top 3, probably number 1.
Yeah, despite the lack of a running game there, it doesn't matter. The Terminator, that is Peyton Manning, will continue to get the job done. I mentioned Jay Cutler, surprisingly at number 4. I know, Kyle, you're kind of an advocate that you think this could be legit.
Yeah, for fantasy purposes, yeah, because, I mean, interceptions in most leagues don't really hurt you too much, so it's fine if he throws 1 or 2 interceptions. If he's throwing 4 touchdowns, he's getting over 300 yards passing. That's solid for me for fantasy.
He's got the weapons. We need to see Brandon Marshall get back to full strength.
Yep.
Matt Ryan at number 3, that doesn't surprise me. I'm glad to see him bounce back, and I think that's completely legit because Julio Jones is back and better than ever.
That's why Matt Ryan is back. He's another guy that's very dependent on that receiver being there.
Yep, and hey, more power to him. In this case, Julio's the man.
Yep.
Plus, he's got some good secondary receivers here. The running backs are getting it done here. In the not only, I mean, the running game haven't been great, but the receiving game surprisingly good with Antoine Smith.
And the running game comes through when they need it. So
yeah. Phillip Rivers, number 2. This is a guy that put up studly numbers last year. For as good as he has been, we weren't sure to trust it on that level again, and sure enough, here he is once again, number 2.
He looks better this year than he did last year, man.
Props
It's crazy. I mean, but
he looks fantastic.
But I mean, Eddie Royals had a great start this season, so that's really helped him as well. They got Malcolm Floyd back this year, so definitely, if you drafted Phillip Rivers, be very happy that you took him this year.
Andrew Luck is the number 1 overall guy, and right now he's probably my favorite for MVP.
Yep.
I know DeMarco Murray's certainly in the conversation right there, especially with Dallas playing so well.
I can see Russell Wilson.
Do you trust Andrew Luck going forward on this level, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Luck is looking like a top 3 quarterback out there. He's looking really solid, and from here on out, I'd be very comfortable in having him as my quarterback, my team captain.
Yeah, it's good to see Andrew Luck play at this level because there's so much hype around him, and it's tough because you look at the guys he's got to compete with. It's like, yeah, we all love him, but geez, look what Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees are doing here. Can he do that? This is the season where you're going to see it.
Yep.
Let's move on to running backs, guys. We'll have to go through these pretty quickly, even though there's some surprising guys here. Number 10, Frank Gore. Still looks good. Looks like a rock going forward.
Yep.
This guy is consistent as it comes. Number 9, I really like Justin Forsett. Surprising to see him on this list over some guys that are surprisingly not, nowhere to be seen here. And Justin Forsett looks pretty good going forward. I know you were talking about how it's kind of a committee, but I like him a lot, Kyle.
Yeah, I like him too, but I mean, we even heard Harbaugh say after the game last week that he wants to get Taliaferro more touches. He wants to get Bernard Pierce more touches. If it's going to happen, I don't know. Maybe it's, mind games, so they have to sit there. The defense for the next team has to try to put in some game plan if they put the running backs in. But he's definitely looked like the best running back over the past 2 weeks, and they're going to want to go with that hot hand during the games.
Props to you guys if you picked him up.
Yeah.
Another guy, props to you if you picked up, is Ahmad Bradshaw. He's been pretty consistent, coming off of somewhat of a down game here, but gotta like his usage.
Great situation for him.
Definitely a guy who seems to be used heavily in the red zone. I look for him to get a ton of touchdowns, provided he stays healthy. Giovanni Bernard at number 7, surprisingly low for as productive as he's been. I could imagine in a PPR he'd be way higher.
Started a little slow, but yeah, he's definitely coming around now.
Yeah, he's top 5 back right now. Rashad Jennings in at number 6. He'll obviously fall now that he's going to be injured for a few weeks. So that's rough because it's good to see a guy who's been around a while get a chance and look like a legit back, but injuries are a problem with running backs. Even the studs like number 5, Arian Foster, have to deal with it. This guy missed a game, still looking like a stud despite it. He's
my bounce back player of the year, man. I was not expecting him to be looking as good as he has, and if that guy can just stay healthy, man, he's a hell of a running back.
I don't trust it at all. I feel like people are getting too confident in his health.
Yeah.
If you own Arian Foster, I think Alfred Blue is a must-own, because Blue's at least shown that he can be productive. Not nearly as productive as Foster, but productive and worth a start. Matt Forte coming on strong at number 4. This guy's a beast, and he's proven he's one of the best running backs in the league right now. He's in the same league as Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch, man, this guy is turning into a Hall of Fame player in front of our eyes. This guy runs with such force. It's amazing that these professional defenders just look like they have no chance at tackling him.
They look scared sometimes, man. It's funny. This reminds me of the old school running backs, man. Back in the 70s, these guys that would just pound through people and keep turning their legs and just keep driving forward and not be scared to hit somebody. We really don't have another running back in the league that is like Marshawn Lynch right now.
Yeah. Number 2, Le'Veon Bell. We love him here. Trippy Commentaries, and congratulations if you got him, especially in the second round, because if there was a redraft, he would be perhaps like the number 2 pick overall, number 3. He's that consistent and definitely looks like a good play going forward. No surprise, DeMarco Murray, MVP candidate, number 1. Another guy we love. Let's hope he stays healthy for an entire season. That would be amazing. Quickly, just to go through the top 10 wide receivers, our boy DeAndre Hopkins comes in at number 10. Amazing to see him at 10. That's awesome. I really like it going forward because I think he's taken over Andre Johnson as the number 1 there. Much like in Arizona where you saw the other 2 wide receivers kind of overtaking Larry Fitzgerald. That's kind of happening in Houston as well. Golden Tate, number 9. Top 10 so far. Demaryius Thomas, number 8. Look for that to go up.
Skyrocket.
With the quickness. Des Bryant, number 7. This guy's the man. So consistent. Randall Cobb. Great to see him playing on this level after really that bummer of his season last year. This guy looks awesome, and Aaron Rodgers is just getting it started. Steve Smith at number 5. Not sure if I trust it for the whole season because he's come out in some plays.
I do because just the targets he's getting.
He looks great. Jeremy Maclin, number 4. Another guy who looks freaking ridiculous in that offense.
Yep.
I'm a little worried about Foles. We'll see how he does this week. Julio Jones at number 3 looks like a beast. Jordy Nelson. He's going to stay up in this top 5 as well. In fact, he could be the new number 1 if Calvin Johnson doesn't get healthy quick. Antonio Brown, your number 1 guy.
Nasty.
Studley.
Thank
you guys. Oh, God, man. He's on another level this year. He's the true number 1. I'm RJ for K-Mac and Mike. Guys, make sure to stay tuned. We have plenty more fantasy coverage. And as always,
stay trippy.